Am I bright enough? I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're looking good.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Paul and Christina, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome. Look at your picture of your dogs. That's amazing.
Our dog is the only person in our family who has their own portrait.
What kind of dog?
Black lab.
Okay,
That's a
I have a
lab, yeah.
chocolate.
It turns out that our house painters, one of our house painters is actually a painter. He had an exhibit at the DeYoung Museum, and one day he said, "Would you like me to paint your dog?"
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you still have your dog?
Okay, hi. I'm going to just get a pillow.
That dog is no longer with us. We have another lab rescue. This is we're on our third lab rescue lab.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that happens.
Right there.
Aw. Actual dog. Hi, Susan.
Hey, Susan, welcome.
She
She might not be able to hear us yet.
There. Did that change anything?
Susan, can you hear us?
And now, yeah, I had to
Okay.
reset my sound. Hi, Paula.
Hi, how are you?
My gosh, normally our Wednesday night would have been yoga all those
I know.
days ago.
That's my typical Wednesday night still, if you want to join my group.
Well, Paula and I used to do yoga in a studio in Orinda, and it was on Wednesday nights. Yeah.
It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. So many things have changed.
Mhm. Sorry, I've got some terribly unflattering lighting going here, but there's not much I can do about it.
All right.
So Ryan, how many people signed up?
Well, we had 17 RSVP. We won't get them all, but
Yeah, best intentions by everybody, right?
yeah. We'll give them a couple more minutes and then kick it off.
Good.
Why don't we talk about, I mean, tonight it's all about the secrets of happiness and how to get there. I love that I became the poster child of happiness. So funny and good. People expect that of me. So why don't we talk about what brings you happiness while we're waiting for people to come on?
Gosh.
Paula, what brings you happiness? I can name one thing that does. Black labs.
The dog. Yeah, I'd say my dog and my family and traveling to new places and cooking and having people over and learning new things. I'm a seeker.
Mm-hmm.
Are you cold calling?
Oh, well.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi.
Hey, Ginny.
Hello.
Ginny, what makes you happy?
What makes me what?
What makes you happy? I know you edit, so a really good story, I'm guessing, would make you.
Yeah, no, I like scripts and films. And I've been following a lot of films on Netflix. It's like a guilty pleasure to just watch these Turkish melodramas.
Oh, good one. Interesting.
There's
What
one
else
really
makes-
good one, Intersection. They have these really intricate relationships. They have these sort of wealthy people and different classes, and there's sort of a mixture of connections between different groups, and people get very emotional. It's
Good
very
one.
different than American films, but I really like it.
Good recommendation too.
Yeah,
What
they're
else
very
makes
real.
What else makes you happy?
Oh, well, doing films and basically doing things independent, being independent, free to do things that I like, having new ideas, writing songs now. What
That's
about you?
I'm going to share some of the things that
Oh,
make
okay.
so I'm just because this has been such an incredible journey on this presentation. I was sharing a little bit with Susan and Elena. Hello.
I know a lot of people have been so affected by the coronavirus, and I've written about it. But because I'm a writer, it doesn't affect me as much as other people that have businesses that involve people-to-people connections.
Yeah, yeah. Bob, you're sort of hiding, but what makes you happy? Susan or Elena, what makes you happy?
Me?
Yeah.
What makes me happy? Working in the garden with the 57 herbs that we grow and using them and making things from them and challenging myself because at least I'm all cooking at home a lot more than I used to, challenging myself to use what's in season and come up with combinations that I wouldn't. About 15 to 20 minutes of that, and I forget about everything. I'm totally involved. The smell of the herbs, the touch of them. I think being grounded in the body is my way of feeling happy.
That's a biggie for me. You nailed it for me too. Susan, what makes you happy?
Well, yeah, I love this thought of being present in whatever you're doing. So I've had to dive into a video project this week, and I noticed just my energy level is up, and because I'm really passionate about what I do, and it's very creative, and I feel much better this week working on that. And I was just also in the kitchen, and some music came on, and it hit me. I think music makes me really happy too, because I think it's also a grounding. It's a grounding device for us. It brings us back into our body, into our emotions, and I think it's really healthy to listen to music. So.
Nice. Ryan, do you have any contributions? What makes you happy?
Yeah, I was thinking, like, I wanted to say work. I find work makes me fulfilled, but I don't know that it makes me happy. And then, like, besides the family and dog and stuff, some things that came to mind are recently the Grateful Dead. Listening to the Grateful Dead makes me happy. And then also those moments when I have nothing else to do and kids are fine doing their thing. I just kind of like actually have moments to myself and I can choose to play piano, play guitar. That's like really, I think, when I'm happiest.
Nice. So Kyle, thanks for joining us. Are you hiding or will you show up?
He's on mute also.
And can I say who you are? He's hiding. It's all right. I'm gonna let him hide until he chooses otherwise. Kyle definitely knows what makes me happy. All right.
Yeah, we're 10 minutes in, so
All right, let's go for it. I'm gonna share my screen with you and walk you through this because this has sent me on this incredible journey of the secret to happiness and how to get there. So I'm going to take you on my journey and share with you what I learned because I went to Stanford, to the Compassion Center that's there at Stanford University. I went to Yale, and there are happiness courses there. I went to Harvard and did studies there. I went to the Greater Good Science Center. I got to hear from monks in Nepal. I got to go on so many journeys to discover the secret of happiness and then help give you tools to get there. So one of the things that I did was I posted some things on Facebook to see what kind of responses I might get. And this one was fun. This one I just did today. What small actions build happiness? And I added, text a friend what they mean to you. And what a great thing to do, because if you're ever feeling like you need your emotional bucket filled, just copy those words, what small actions build happiness, with a big question mark, and see how many texts you get, because my phone's been burning off the hook. It's been so lovely. My intention was to be texting everybody I know, but it was just, oh my God, it was such a gift. And then I wanted to take a moment to ask the question. I mean, you're all here, you've registered, and or you're listening to this recording later, and there's some reason that you have made the decision to share some of your existence, your time, your energy, your resources into investing in your happiness. That's why you came here. So my hope for you, by spending some time here, is to see the value in investing in your happiness, both personally and professionally. And in the beginning, when we were talking about that, all of those things came up. I'm hoping that you gain some clarity on your definition of happiness. I've got some tools you can implement, some happiness tools that will actually help you find your way to happiness, even in the hardest of moments, and then give you ideas on how to take happy action steps to make a difference in your life and others. And I've already given you two, because we were talking about what makes us happy, and that reminds us to do those things, and also to post out and give the opportunity to your community, or just take on the action step yourself, to connect with people and tell them what they mean to you. Because I really am asking the question of what is happiness and where is happiness? How do you get to happiness? And then the pragmatic side of me was like, well, is there a formula for it? Can I actually, is there a real blueprint I can follow to get to happiness? And then that led to, well, how can you cultivate happiness? And are there literal stepping stones to happiness? Okay, so let's take a moment here. Just take a breath. And I've got lots of little moments like this for you. And just be present in your body. And imagine you are happy. So for you, the gift that you're giving to yourself in this moment, in the next breath that you're breathing in, realize that in your mind, when you are happy, what is the environment like when you are happy? What do you feel in your body? What do you hear? What do you smell, taste, touch? What is this sensation that you're getting when you feel happy? And if you can take a breath in and really just figure out the color and the texture of this feeling, that emotion, then that's what's called your happiness set point. So that you can reach that at any moment. If you're whatever time of day, you can be thinking of your dog, or playing with the herbs, or imagining yourself in the garden, or considering scripts or something that happened in a film, or if you have a new idea. All of these things are going to bring you to that happiness set point. So that's how you get to your happiness set point. Are you ready to discover your path to happiness? So here I am on this journey, and I thought, this is like the game of life we used to play. And I love that this is one of the old covers of this game. It's a full 3D action game, life is. Don't you agree? And in this version of it, Art Linkletter heartily endorses this family game. And if you'll recall, this game is all about, you get a little car, and then you need to buy car insurance. And then you can consider an education, And based on your education or not, you go get an occupation, and that determines your salary, and you can potentially get a spouse and maybe some kids. And if you're getting toward winning the game, you get to go to millionaire estates or, you know, the country acres or something like that. But there's only one card in the whole game that is the bluebird of happiness flies over you. And it's like, we are literally born and we are seeking this intangible, nebulous happiness, this feeling, this whatever that set point is that you just discovered a moment ago. It's like a plant following the sun. It's not tangible, but we are definitely going to be chasing it. And that's what I wanted to share with you today, how to define happiness and how to find it for yourself. I'm Michelle Hoffman. I have been in management in several different industries, in finance, in the medical industry, in medical publishing, in technology, and biotech. And when I was in a situation where my husband got cancer and died, I was suddenly thrown into this turmoil and thought, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And like any good person who is seeking the light or seeking happiness again, I figured it out. And then I wrote the guide that I did not have, and that's Life Worth Living. When I wrote the book, I realized some people would read it and the reviews are tremendous. I got picked up by a publisher. It became an international bestseller. There's an Audible out, there's the print book, there's an ebook. And if you stay with me to the end of this presentation, I'm happy to share an ebook with you of either of my books. Just PM me or I'll give you the link to get it. And, you know, so it's like this incredible thing. And people were saying, oh my God, reading this book, I didn't need to be a widow to really understand how to go from this deep depression or very big sense of loss place to finding happiness again. And people would say to me, it was like sitting at your kitchen table and you'd let me cry and make me laugh. So it's so lovely that I get to share how to get to happiness with you. My other book, The New Management Blueprint, is another means of sharing that compassionate way to build revenue and business by helping employees, helping increase confidence in managers to help the individuals on their team, their employees, align their own personal goals with the mission and vision of the company, making success inevitable. So those two things are the intersection of a compassionate, conscious way to approach life as well as your professional life. And when I was in the situation where when my husband passed, I literally went to 4 funerals that week. My best friend, my great aunt, my husband, and then my uncle. It was a long week of wearing black and tears. And by the time I went to my uncle's funeral, I was seeing my cousin who I hadn't seen in a long time, and I was so sad that she had just lost her father. But I was really excited to see her. This was something, you know, I was approaching her with this big grin on my face, and she looked at me and said, "What are you happy about? You're a widow." And I thought, I did not choose that as a career or choice at all. And I didn't want to stay in that mindset or that position. And she successfully, you know, sucked the happiness out of the moment. But I thought, here I am. I can decide to be this widow wearing a black veil crying in the back of the room, or I can make a conscious decision to be more of the Scarlett Johansson superhero and really empower myself and others. So in addition to the book, if the book is not enough, I offer coaching to get through situations where you might be feeling depressed, burnt out, hopeless, stuck, lonely, lost, worried, or feeling like you're not enough and you don't know how to change things. I have people who come to me feeling heartbroken, like there's no safe way to find escape from the situations that they're in now, and they're worried about themselves and their kids and will they lose their jobs. And I myself found a healthy way to move through grief or traumatic experience and become the head of household, the sole parent, and I didn't want to be feeling overwhelmed. So I helped these people by coaching them to find their purpose at the intersection of passion, skill, and in this case, her earning potential. And she's feeling independent, unblocked, with unlimited revenue opportunity and energy. Jennifer was feeling confident. She had a life plan. Her kids were now secured. She had new purpose, and she was able to take care of others. These are testimonials. And in the case of David, he found lasting love again that lasts. And he's able to build together. We built an advisory board, much like a board of directors that a company has. This advisory board was for himself, his new wife, and his kids. He reset his priorities, and he's having a fulfilled life. And I, of course, am now stabilized and helping others. This is my family. So the question I have to you is, how much longer will you wait to take control of your life and your happiness? And the question really there is, how do you define happiness? So this was another thing I posted just to get the idea from other people of how they define happiness in their lives. And we talked about that at the beginning of this presentation. Puppies, a child in fall colors, a good belly laugh, inner peace. Cold beer, toes in the sand, a big hug, a kiss from someone who loves me just the way I am, or accomplishments, or being able to wake up with a partner, puts a pep in a step, and kissing his wife in the morning. That was David that I said he just got married. I loved this one. Happiness is this flying feeling in the chest and a smile from inside. And it's so interesting to hear other people's opinions on what is happiness. Is it freedom from anger and resentment? Is it art? Is it being grateful in the moment? So it's like everyone has their own definition. In fact, as many people who have been studying happiness have their own unique definition of happiness. That in and of itself tells me happiness is defined within ourselves. We create, it's as unique as we are. So we create our own version of it. Webster's says it's a state of well-being characterized by emotions ranging from contentment to intense joy, a pleasurable or satisfying experience. But what is it? So Martin Seligman, he's a positive motivational speaker, proposed an equation. Happiness is determined by our happiness set point, which I helped you find already, multiplied or added to our life circumstance, including temperament, your character, your ability to sleep well, depression, or inspiration, and intentional or voluntary activities. I thought those two were pretty interesting to add to the mix. So then I wondered, well, where do we find it? If we don't know how to get there, how do we find happiness? And happiness, I learned from monks, is in your mind. So let me ask you this question. Are you having a good day? And if you are having a good day, why? Why are you having a good day today? Or if you're having a bad day, why? And how about tomorrow? Would you like to have a bad day tomorrow or a good day tomorrow? How about the day after? So this Buddhist monk says much of the time, your mind is like a balloon in the wind being blown. And in fact, if you're being blown in a direction that makes you happy, you're happy. But if you're being blown in a direction that you don't want to go, you're unhappy. Well, if the reasons your experience was happy depends on circumstances outside of you, then that's literally putting your happiness in the hands of others. So the monk's advice, the recommendation here, is to stop outsourcing your happiness and your unhappiness to other people and circumstances. Stop blaming others for your state of being, because as long as you're making it other people's responsibility, your happiness will be unstable and elusive. In my words, the way I discussed this, and I had a pen on that slide that said, how long are you willing to wait until you take control of your life, is that we are born with a proverbial pen, and I know I've got writers in the group here. And if you hand over the pen so someone else is writing your story or defining your happiness, you're outsourcing that responsibility and you're giving them the opportunity to make those decisions for you. So I would say take back your pen and write your own story. The monks would say stop blaming others and stop outsourcing your happiness. And I loved that the gift was given in the format of a logic equation, like my logic professor would say. Postulate 1, you can actively cultivate your source of peace and happiness in your own mind. Postulate 2, happiness and unhappiness are states of mind. Therefore, conclusion, their real causes cannot be found outside the mind. So the monk's stature is, if you have a peaceful state of mind, you will be happy regardless of the external circumstances. Well, this is a little hard. We all know this because we've all faced obstacles and pitfalls and challenges. And then we can talk about resilience. And I've got a whole workshop with tools on building resilience and your adversity quotient. But the monk's idea and the answer to how to cultivate happiness as a state of mind, would it surprise any of you that the monk's recommendation is meditation? Meditation is the mental action of concentrating on a peaceful state of mind. My way of sharing this is that you've got an emotional dial inside of you, and regardless of what's happening in the world, you can choose where to land on that dial. And these 5 emotions were decided based on a study to be the 5 most accepted emotions throughout the world through psychologists. And Paul Ekman led this study on behalf of a request with the Dalai Lama, and a super amazing tool to use is called the atlasofemotions.org that Paul Ekman designed. And he was also the science behind the Pixar movie Inside Out and several other things. So you can choose joy, sad, fear, anger, or disgust. Another tool that I share with my clients, if they're having challenges with things like this, and we want a practical exercise, is this: how to clear your mind of clutter. So in this exercise, we literally walk through what is affecting the situation right now. What do you have control over? What don't you have control over? So the serenity prayer. And then what can you address right now? And that might be as simple as opening the mail, which could be foreboding if you don't realize that I only need to do one piece at a time. So this is an exercise that I guide people through. A similar one, when you're trying to discover if you've gone through a developmental stage in your life, like I did, becoming a widow is a huge developmental change. But if you're an individual welcoming a partner, a spouse, if you're welcoming children into the world, or you're becoming an empty nester, if you change jobs or change communities, you're literally changing your identity in some ways. So it's a beautiful exercise to consider who you used to be, who you are now, and then also setting the intention of who you are becoming, because it gives you direction on which way to go, and that helps in decision making. Another one, because when we go through these life changes, and I'm sure I've witnessed some of yours, you've witnessed some of mine, we know each other, we all face challenges in life. And when you are facing a challenge that your mind is grinding on and it's putting you into a situation of anxiety, one of the things you can do is consider, is this statement that you're making a fact? If it is a fact, what one sentence thought is being produced from that fact? What is the one big emotion that it's making you feel? What is your action, inaction, or reaction in response to that? And what is the outcome? And right now, this is the big cognitive behavior theory tool of how to adjust mindset. And if we're not feeling happy, and we want happy, because that seems to be the sun that the plants are chasing, then you can move through this process, and all you need to do is write it out, think it out, talk it out, and change one aspect of this sentence, which will then change the chain of events and change the outcome. So I wanted to make sure to give you practical tools as we go through on our search for happiness, because I'm wondering at this point, how do we get there? And what I learned was the World Happiness Research was that 220 million children and 1 billion adults are suffering from anxiety, depression, and conduct disorders at this moment. But we are their role models. We want the children to have incredible childhoods. We deserve to have happy adulthoods. And what's happening is the children are watching us as role models as we struggle to find our own happiness. So they're going to follow our example more than what we say. They're going to follow what we do. But if we're the role models, how can we learn how to model happiness? So this is when I found the Harvard study that started in 1938, went through to 2012, where they studied 700 people who shared what they understood makes us flourish. Now, you'll hear the definition of happiness as flourishing, and we each shared a couple of things, like giving meaning, work gives us meaning, or, what is this happiness? Do you equate flourish with happiness? So in this study, that's what they were doing. And the researchers found that happiness doesn't come from things that like the game of life, inspires us to get a car and get a spouse and have a bunch of kids and have an education and an occupation and go to millionaire estates. But researchers found that that's not where happiness is coming from. There was one phrase that they added in the study that says researchers found happiness doesn't come from working hard. And I know, Ryan, you had even talked about your work gives you meaning, but is it giving you happiness? So I also stumbled on that phrase. So that sent me into, what would Carol Dweck say, the Stanford professor, about fixed mindset and growth mindset? Because can't you just work hard for happiness? With the fixed mindset being qualities are fixed traits and they can't change, and whatever talent you have is either going to lead you to success or not. Whereas if you have this growth mindset, you would have the belief and understanding that you could do something about it, and the effort you put into that doing something about getting to where you want to be or becoming the person you want to step into would help you get there, and you could become smarter, and you could achieve success and higher goals. So I had to take that quick detour in there. What the study ultimately showed was that what brings you happiness, in this case, or flourishing, as they said, is quality of relationships. So this is not what the monks were telling us necessarily, that it's in our head, because quality of relationships is the ability to be vulnerable, which is outside of our heads, and listen and share what's close to you in your heart. So in the Harvard study, what brings us happiness is the quality of relationships where we can be vulnerable, listen, and share to what's really meaningful to us. So then I'm asking, how can we achieve this goal? How can we cultivate this? So whether it's in our head, this Buddhist monk is saying, we can look outside to have everything to be happy, but the control over the outer world is limited and temporary. And his advice is, if the inner conditions are stronger serenity, inner strength, freedom, and confidence, then you can withstand adversity to whatever's happening outside. So here it is, it's back inside of us. So how do you nurture that? And again, the Buddhist monk uses the word flourishing equal to happiness. And his philosophy is that mind training with opposing emotions to counter any emotion that you're having that's not happy will give you an opportunity to get to happy. So you saw my little compass with the 5 big emotions. And if you were at anger or sadness and you were looking for joy, then all you need to do is have a really strong inner strength that is stronger than what's happening outside. And you can actually then oppose the emotion that you're not wanting to have to the one that you do want. Okay, so that was both internal and external. What about, is there something else we can do to cultivate this happiness? And referring to the compassion department at Stanford, there's this study that's done that we know we can form good, healthy habits when it comes to physical health. And we're wondering, can we transfer that same concept to emotional health? By investing time and heart in relationships with those around you, it could be one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself and to develop happiness. Of course, it would help others also. Therefore, looking for a through line in all of this, you could then build quality relationships where you can be vulnerable and invest your time and heart. How do we do this? So their proposition here is, if we can hone this skill to turn knowledge into action, and we can build physical health through nourishing food and good exercise at the gym, why can't we create the same thing and have green smoothies and sit-ups to build healthy habits to create a psychological workout? And that would be by investing in quality relationships. The other thing that is proposed here is the fountain of youth. So they're not equating the fountain of youth with happiness, but the recommendation is that there's a fountain of youth in the psychology of giving. And I would say volunteering or giving or whatever it is that you have an abundance of that you can share with others. Because physically what happens is endorphins kick in to get this helper's high. Your oxygen levels increase, acting as the anti-aging remedy. And volunteering pumps serotonin into your body's happy transmitter, dropping the cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. So it's lovely to be a giver, and helping others really helps ourselves. Okay, so let's talk about, not only can you give, but it's another whole aspect of life to be grateful. And so I wanted to take a moment here, and if you want to play in the chat, or I think you can chime in unless you're muted, let's do a quick exercise. Can you think of 5 people you are grateful to have in your life? You can think them through or speak about them. Anybody want to jump in on that? Put them in the chat. Okay. How about 4 things you are grateful for?
You want us to share them?
Sure, share.
Oh. Well, the first thing that comes to mind is I have a really great landlord, and he's just wonderful. I mean, he comes and fixes things, and he's very prompt, and he really wants to make the house great.
Awesome. Awesome. Would anyone like to share something they're grateful for? Love it. I'm grateful for laughter. That's a good one.
You know what? I was going to say, I am so grateful for a hot shower every morning. It's one of
Nice.
the most important things in my life.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. I think we're all grateful for that, and we don't always give it the credit it's due. Good one. Good one. Thank you. I know we talked about our dogs, our family, traveling, new ideas, scripts, films, working in the garden, finding new ways to use things that we already have, being present in the moment, being creative. Music came up a lot. Somebody earlier was talking about cats, like funny cat videos, always good. Playing an instrument also came up. So how about, okay, we got 5 people you're grateful to have in your life, 4 things you're grateful for. Does anyone want to talk about an accomplishment you've achieved?
Well, I found a person to collaborate with, and it was just by happenstance. And I'm very grateful that I found him because we've been doing a lot of songs together, and it wouldn't be possible without this music collaborator.
Awesome. Awesome.
And I'll chime in that sometimes when I'm feeling like, oh God, I'm not sure what I'm doing, where I'm going, then I look back at, some of the wonderful things that have happened in my career or my education. And it's like, okay, you know what? You already proved that you can do great things and that you can also get to some kind of an achievement level that helps make you happy. So I have to go back to that, but it does help. It does help.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. Very true, very true. I know some of the accomplishments you've achieved, quite significant. How about 2 events that have changed your life for the better?
Well, for me, it was finding this team of people I've been working with for about the past 6 years on creating films together. And it all came about because I always believe in if something bad happens in your life, think about I ended up writing books or turn it around in some way. And so as a result of this really bad experience that I met this really kooky sociopathic person in LA, I met these people that got referred to them, who was this director and producer was referred by one of the actors that came for an interview. And if I hadn't met them, I mean, I would probably be out of the film business. But we've done 11 films together, and it was just amazing in 6 years.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. How about one time you shared your money, time, talent, or energy selflessly with someone else?
One time?
Well, this is a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 challenge. It's just supposed to be like bam, 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 bam.
Well, it's funny because you talk about, that you get, it helps make you happy to give to others.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've given a lot of myself to other people and outside people, not just my family, but, I've volunteered a ton of time over the last, 15, 20 years. And that's really interesting because, I think it makes me happy, but it's also, part of, I don't know, kind of navigating the world and where you fit. And it's an interesting.
Beautiful. So understanding where you fit in the world and knowing that you are part of something bigger than yourself.
Exactly.
So the pragmatic side of me was wondering, is there a formula? The logical side was like, can I just get an outline? I need a very clear blueprint for this. And this professor says life's too short to be wasted. I think we all say that. And that you need powerful tools to get you started to living a full and happy life. And the point that he was making was we set these goals. We want to accomplish things. We want to be well traveled. We might want fame or celebrity or true love. But his point is this: anything you can get, you can unget. So this became a concern. You know, we're driven to this 3D action game in life, but the message, the formula here is if X happens, then Y will happen, and voila, I will be happy. But in reality, what motivated you 10 years ago is probably not what would motivate you today, and you've probably achieved many of those accomplishments. So that formula is flawed. His comment was, oh yeah, I want to be CEO, and then once I'm a CEO, I want to be a billionaire CEO. And his point is that actions are within your control, but outcomes are outside of your control. And we live in a world where we invest in the outcome. Now, going back to that mindset tool, if you follow the process and look at the outcome, that tool actually helps you change the outcome to what you're hoping for by changing one thing. But this professor's point is invest in the process. He's saying, when have you been confronted with such beauty that it took you outside yourself to this point of great serenity? So again, we know, that happiness might be inside of us, and it could also be outside of us that is affecting us internally. So the question is why? Why would seeing a pod of dolphins make you happy? How about a baby dolphin? Who cannot be happy to see a baby dolphin? And then the question is, perhaps you see the whole span of a rainbow. Would you just appreciate the gloriousness of the rainbow? Or would you and accept the universe as it is? Or would you ask, oh, that rainbow, it's a bit off center. Perhaps if you just move it off to the right a little bit, then I could be happy. So his point is that you are perfect in the universe. You were saying, you want to feel part of something in your community and bigger than yourself to volunteer. And that is perfection in the moment. And his point being, actions are within your control, outcomes are outside of your control. And this is a world we live in where we invest in the outcome, but his recommendation is to invest in the process. So we've been in our heads, we've got, we're affected, our happiness is determined either by other people or the wind moving us like a balloon. It's within us, it's external in the relationships that we create with other people. We can either change one thing in the way that our mindset is, so our internal mind is stronger than our external, and we can adjust things in our emotional dial to change our view to happiness. And we can invest in the process along the way and not worry so much about the outcome. And I'm like, I need more formulas. So I found the Happy Planet Index. And the Happy Planet Index is literally multiplying your well-being times your life expectancy times your inequality of outcomes divided by the ecological footprint that you make on the planet. And that helps determine where you have the best chance of being happy in the world. And this seemed pretty big. And I thought, well, how might that affect us when we're investing not only in ourselves, but in companies? So Lena Baber is now, she's a proponent that we include a happiness indicator when we're considering investing in organizations. So in addition to ROI, cash flow, relative market share, and long-term prospect of the company, companies may look at employees as being useful, productive, and we may consider the satisfaction, but it misses the dimension of happiness. So if there were two companies you would consider investing in, and one of them has a level of happiness indicator saying that, happiness makes people feel engaged, connects them emotionally to the company, their colleagues, and their task, that would up their Happy Planet Index, making that a more valuable company to invest in. And that's an interesting view to consider happiness. So I'm wondering, what then is this happiness thing? And what I learned is that happiness, as we've all just defined it, is this overall sensation, but it's actually made up of teeny tiny steps along the way. And those steps are called joy. And joy is this intense momentary feeling of positive emotion that makes us smile, laugh,
All right, can I
and
call you
jump up.
back in about 10 minutes?
So what we're learning is, how do you feel right now in this moment? And then what will happen is you can gain an understanding of how tangible things make us feel intangible joy. And the scientist that I was working with to learn this information is actually a designer. So her message was finding joy in the tangible things in life has an effect on our emotional life. And the question is, what's the relationship with the physical world that creates happier, healthy lives? And she came up with things like ice cream. But more importantly, ice cream with sprinkles makes people happy. That gives joy. Cherry blossoms bring joy. Celebrations without a reason why. Patterns, lightness, aesthetics, bubbles. And here's what I really loved, and I'll tell you why. That I feel, I sense, I perceive, and we talked about this before we started this presentation, are the sensations of joy. And I, after being in the end of life industry for years, have learned that people who are at the end of life give their definition of happiness by understanding it's their life experiences, the way they experience life through their senses. And many of you had talked about that. I think the smell and being in your body matters to you, being in the moment. So it's being present in your body and living life through your senses, as well as the quality of relationships, knowing that you have been loved and love. That's joy and happiness. So the question came up of, how do we end up in a world that is kind of bland and it's missing this happiness? And in fact, why do we hold ourselves back from it? And we're more alert, confident, and joyful in colorful spaces. Colorful spaces in nature are a sign of life and energy. And abundance means survival rather than scarcity. Overabundance does not, just for the record. But finding this happiness through tangible things gives us this indescribable, hopeful feeling. Our differences across the world are so vast, and yet we still find joy in the same and similar things. These passing moments are really important in that they remind us of the shared humanity we find in common in the physical world, so we can actually find happiness through external means. It's not just internal. My way of defining this is that the joy that we experience in life is in the moments, and it's like the pearls that we string together to create this overall well-being of happiness over time. So here are my secrets to happiness. First of all, and as I described it a moment ago, happiness is experiencing our existence through our senses and connections with the people and the world around us. Happiness is knowing you are safe, loved, and not alone. Happiness is knowing that we are loved and that we love. Happiness is abundance. We have enough to share, to gift, to volunteer. And we will get more. It's that hopeful feeling for the future is going to get good or better. And my quote on this is, take what you need, not more than what you need. Give what you can, not more than what you have. Another secret to happiness is knowing that you have purpose. And that's why we tend to say, oh, work makes me happy. It's really knowing that you're part of something that's making a positive difference in the world. Creating a legacy, from receiving a legacy from those who came before and innovating at future, and creating a legacy for those who follow, so that we can be confident that what we say and do matters. Those are my secrets to happiness. And to get there, I've created an entire set of tools that I work through with clients, and I call that the life worth living process, to get all the way up to fun and happiness, develop career and money, recalibrate relationships so that they are filling you as opposed to pulling your energy away, ensuring your health and well-being and self-care are in place, knowing that what's valuable to you is protected. And I think I mentioned earlier, building an advisory board, much like a company has a board of directors, building a board of people around you who can be your emotional support, subject matter experts, leveraging their position to help your success, and accountability partners, all are the groundwork for making decisions in a healthy way. And as promised at the beginning, if you would like a copy of either of my books, you're welcome to either hit this screenshot or go to yourlifeworthliving.org, and I'm happy to share a copy of my book with you. And while you're there, if you scroll down on the right and click I'm ready, I'm happy to share my time to one-on-one talk about what is your definition of happiness and what are the secret steps for you to achieve that goal. Thank you. So with that, I think we have a few more minutes. We can talk about what are the things that you learned, loved, and liked in this presentation? And is there anything that you've learned that might be a tool to help you get to your definition of happiness?
Well, I'll chime in.
Okay.
I think what I really love is that, like, happiness is just a series of small victories, small joyful moments. You know, it's like you're never going to be happy in every single moment of your life. And I think it's recognizing when you do have those, it creates balance. So you wake up every morning saying, you know, I hope I have happy moments today. But if we have this kind of unattainable objective to feel happy constantly, I just don't think that is realistic in life. So
right, I totally agree. In fact, what I love it, so Rhonda's pointing out, it's good to think of how you are in control of your happiness every day. So true. The 5 big emotions that Paul Ekman has discovered that were generally accepted emotions around the world, one of them was disgust. And I know I was in this workshop once, and one of the clients was like, disgust is not a valuable emotion. And I was like, how are you going to know if you eat something that might be poisonous to you? Suddenly, disgust seems like life-saving. So in fact, these emotions can be used as navigational tools of where you want to go and where you don't want to go. They could be like the bumpers in the bumper and bowling alley. Of if your goal is to reach happiness and you hit joy a whole bunch, then you're on the right track. But if you keep bumping into anger, then it's an opportunity to go, well, what is this anger that I keep bumping into, and what is it telling me? So emotions in that way are really good navigation tools, telling you you're either on the right path or the wrong path toward what you're going for.
I've heard of so many other emotions that I'm surprised at putting them into 5 categories because, you know, envy, jealousy,
Yeah.
you know, hate as opposed to anger. I mean, you know, more intense form of anger. So I'm just surprised to see they're listed in 5 categories. Another thought that I had too was a sense of completion or satisfaction after you've done something.
Yeah, accomplishments are a great way
Yeah, so I mean, satisfaction I would see is maybe another, or contentment. And so it just seems like the 5 categories is limiting.
The 5 categories were the base points. And if you go to atlasofelmotions.org, you're going to love it. Jenny, especially as a writer, you're going to love it, because what it shows are the different echelons and the different intensities of the emotions, and why we choose that emotion in response to something someone has said to us, for example. And when you click in on that, it gives you tools or ideas on how to move through the emotion. But I mean, it could be from like, I don't know, joy could be from, happy or glee to elated. It goes all the way through those different, I'm calling it colors, but the different shades of emotions. So they're all represented in one way or another. Not as much as a writer or somebody, especially a songwriter, might access them, because there's limited space.
Yeah. I mean, I was also thinking, like, the anxiety, fear, terror. I mean, that sort of has intensity. I mean, at one point I was starting to collect all these emotions to create these little guides. And I put 6 of them together into a thing called Survive and Thrive Guide. And it has about 500 quotes from people talking about these different emotions, like courage. And I mean, I put courage as an emotion.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
Well, we're starting to see some people drop off, so might be.
Oh, yeah. Well, this was really great. Very helpful.
Yeah.
My
And I
pleasure.
was very impressed with your slides. I mean, they basically encapsulate everything you had to say.
Can we get a copy of that, Michelle? Is there a way to do that?
Happy to share with you. Plus, Ryan's going to put it on the website, so this entire presentation is available. If you need the tools, or there's something in particular, you're welcome to. I'm happy to walk through any of that with you. I know I put some of the tools that I use with clients to help them get through challenges. Yeah, happy to share. Happy to share, because then I get to give and I get to be happy. Right? Might as well share that one. Very good. Well, thank you all. You all made me very happy, to give me purpose to go do this research and pull this together. Well done.
Thanks, Michelle.
Well, likewise, yeah. Thank you.
There's
Thank
a
you so much.
happiness society, Edwin Elberly. I mean, I get mailings from them all the time. Are you familiar with him?
I am not.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I met him years and years ago in Oakland, and he was starting this happiness group. And he has little buttons and things like that he gives out.
Awesome. That is happy.
Michelle, thank you for showing us that people are actually studying happiness and learning more about it, and gathering it all together. Yay!
And we could all use a little bit more happiness.
Absolutely.
This is part of the positive